Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of Chitown Lowdown. We are back. We are excited. We have week 14 action in the NFL. We are coming off a Bears bye week, approaching the beginning of the playoffs. Some of these divisions are really starting to get tight at the end of the year, and we'll see how some of these playoff projections shape out over these next few weeks, but I think it's going to be really exciting. I think we've got some hopeful things we're seeing out of the Bears specifically, and then just some other intriguing stuff that's happening.
Football, you know.
What'd you say, Tom?
Let's talk football.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You got anything you want to start off with, Tom?
Vintage,
If not-
baby.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
Is there anything on the back there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know.
No.
Oh, no. All right, that's fine.
Just straight, clean.
Is that satin or?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I can tell from the shine on the
Yeah.
So, that's huge. Family heirloom passed down on your wife's side. I understand. So.
Grandpa, I don't know what happened in this. You know what I'm saying? So
that's the whole reason you get married, to get jackets like that. And,
I got some cool
that's the whole point of this whole thing.
Yeah.
But that is ties in well with one of the things we were talking about prior to starting the show, and that's young males around our age electing not to pursue any sort of relationships with seeking any sort of companionship in lieu of gambling addiction. I was watching a clip on Twitter today from CNBC, Squawk on the Street, and they're discussing the recent, uprise in online sports gambling and how it has led to young males and marriage rates plummeting in recent years since this has become legal, which I thought was interesting because all three of us are currently married.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I do see the appeal because I really love gambling, and I'm pretty sure it's approaching borderline addiction. Now, I know, Tom, you're not as big on the gambling, but
I'm getting it. And
have you placed a bet yet?
I have not, but
okay. So
the
that's
urge is there. The urge is there. I have not acted on it yet.
Tom, if the urge were there, I think you would probably have already placed a bet.
Yeah,
And you know what? It's best you don't, because it's a slippery slope.
There's a part of me that's like, if I do this, I'm opening up Pandora's box.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gateway activity. You always hear about gateway drugs coming through grade school and whatnot.
Yeah,
and this is a similar activity, but now it's been legalized by our government, by your state. If you're lucky enough to live in a state where gambling is legal, that's not true nationwide yet. Okay, so let's not throw everybody into one bucket here. But having said that, gambling is very fun. I'm not even good at it, but I will gladly give these casinos and these DraftKings, ESPN bets, whatever it may be,
take my money.
Whatever your flavor is, it enhances the viewing experience because you've got some skin in the game. Even though you only win 1 out of every 20 bets, and the ones that you do win, they're not the big ones. It's just like you might double your money. You're not winning those 9-leg parlays.
It makes those games.
I'm not.
It makes those games.
Everyone I see online is somehow.
Yeah.
But I've yet to hit mine. Can't wait. For that day to come.
What it is
what?
It makes games like tonight's game interesting. I know this game tonight, Pittsburgh and
New England
is the lowest over-under, I think, ever. 30?
That can't be right. I didn't see what it was before the game started, but I mean, I would guess it was probably pretty low.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we're a little bit late to the podcast this week, so Thursday night game, no picks there, but we are going to get to the Sunday slate here in a bit. One other thing I wanted to ask you guys about that I had seen today was, well, I guess not ask you about, but maybe just we all do a collective salute to one of the all-time Bear greats in Robbie Gould announcing retirement today. Just cherish those memories with that guy. And, you know, it can't help but think like what could have been had Robbie stuck around and it was him kicking that field goal instead of Cody Parkey.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Who knows?
Well, we definitely would have moved on in that wild card game, right? But
which was against the team that would go on to win the Super Bowl that year.
That's right. The Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, it was so nice to, you know that a field goal from, 40 yards and under is going to go in. We didn't have that for a long time. Santos, I feel okay with him, but
Cairo's done a good enough job. He's
better than Parkey.
Oh, 100%.
And the other few kickers we had sprinkled in there between
Three
Robbie Gould and him. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta sing the praises for Robbie Gould and everything he did for the Chicago Bears while he was there, and you know that was kind of like a turning point in the Chicago Bears organization. They had
it all starts with the kicker, you know.
They weren't great when he was there. They weren't great when he was there, but when he left, they got really bad. They got really bad for a while. Okay.
It's us, man. It's we.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
we got that. I'm sorry.
There was a slight uptick, and then we fell off a cliff there for a moment. But, you know, that's the Bears. Robbie, congrats on the career.
We're on the up, and I'm excited. You know, I'm not giving hope on this year yet, giving up on hope this year. And then, next year.
Well, speaking of that.
Yep.
Good transition into the first game that we'll talk about this week for our picks, which is going to be Chicago against Detroit.
Yep.
This time at home. Currently, the line's sitting at Detroit -3.5. How are we feeling about that game this week? General thoughts, maybe keys to success.
Yeah.
Keys to failure.
I got a couple here. Well, I'm going to take the Bears because I said I wanted us to win this one. And I kind of wrote down some things here. We got to hang on to the ball. I think the last 2 games we fumbled a total of 5 times. That's unacceptable. Can't be doing that.
Mitch just threw a pick.
Who did?
Mitch. Jesus Christ.
Is this the second one or the first one?
This is the first one that counts, I think.
PTSD.
What's the score right now?
7-3.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So we need to hang on to the ball, and then we got to run the ball and stop the run. Just like we didn't stop the Lions' run when we played them 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever that was. They ran for over 100 yards, and it really. Like last week against Minnesota, we put some pressure on Dobbs to pass the ball because they couldn't run it as well. And I would like to see that with a struggling Goff to put it in his hands and stop that run. So I did, and I saw something here. I think we are tied with the 49ers on run yards this year, which is like
run defense.
Yeah, like our defense is loud.
The fewest amount of yards.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's kind of like puts in perspective of how well the Bears front is on the defensive front. So yeah, those are my two big ones. Hang on to the ball, run the ball and stop the run, and get some pressure or make Goff make those decisions and hopefully pick them off, just like when we played them last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luke, you said the line was -3
and a half.
3.5. 3.5. I think the rule of thumb is home field advantage gives you 3 points, right? So if this game is played on a neutral site, the Lions are only favored by half a point here, if you believe in that. And if you look at the records of these two teams, the Bears are 4-8. The Lions are 9-3 at this point. There's no reason that line should be that tight, which tells you that either the Lions aren't as good as their record says, or the Bears aren't quite as bad as their record says. And maybe it's a little bit of both, but I think the Bears are better than a 4-8 team. I don't think they're going to be able to turn Jared Goff over 4 times like they did in the first game. So the offense is going to have to play better, a more complete game than they did the first time around. Fields, it was his first game back off injury. At this point, you'd like to see, like I said, a more complete game from him, not only being effective on the ground, but also through the air with his arm. The offensive line has been playing well, so continuing to run the ball doesn't hurt. That's going to keep pressure off of Fields. And
we have Foreman back this week as well. I think we should.
We what?
I think we should have Foreman back.
Yeah, I just looked at the injury report. I think the only people that are on there for this week we've got Yannick Ngakoue. He's questionable. He was a limited participant in practice today, and Equinemius St. Brown also a limited participant in practice. So, we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. The Bears are getting healthy. They're getting really healthy, and so we should expect to see the best football we've seen out of the Bears yet to this point in the year. And I think we'll see that. And, just like this line says, the Bears are getting better. I think the line in the first game was like 6.5.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure what it was, maybe even more than that. But the Bears were able to cover there.
I want to say 7.5.
7.5. Okay, so the Bears.
I will confirm that momentarily.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Bears cover at home against this spread. I think Fields plays well. I think they run the ball well. Hopefully, the defensive line can put some pressure on Jared Goff. Again, I don't think he's going to turn the ball over as much as he did in that first game. But I still think they're going to give him some problems, and the Bears will walk out of this with a 2-game win streak against NFC North opponents. So that's going to be huge with momentum going into the rest of the year. And, Bears still have a chance to finish this season with a winning record at 9-8. It's still on the table. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is a possibility.
That's true. It is possible. I think you bring up a good point in terms of like what direction these teams seem to be trending. Hunter Henry just scored a touchdown. He was on my fantasy team last week. I dropped him. I'm trying. I have 1 league left that I have a chance of making the playoffs in, and it's just everything that could go wrong this year has gone wrong, and it's bleeding into this. But I think you bring up a good point, Jesse, with like the direction that the teams are trending. If you look at Detroit's last 4 games, you've got at the Chargers, won by 3 points. That was a shootout, 41-38. Gave up a lot of points to the Chargers, who could only score 6 against the Patriots team last. Pretty crappy conditions. Yeah. Then you've got the Bears game, which we handed to them on a platter. They probably should have lost that game. Then they lose to Green Bay, 29-22. And then last week, it started off like they were going to stomp the Saints, but then that turned into a game. They won by 5 points, 33-28.
And Olave got hurt that game. I mean, they had a bunch of injuries, the Saints. So, I mean, they should have blown them out.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a game that you would expect this Detroit team, who's one of the favorites in the NFC right now, probably behind, obviously behind San Francisco, Philly, but in that next tier is Detroit. So, you'd expect them to be winning handedly against New Orleans and to, not be toying around with a Bears team a few weeks ago that didn't really seem like there was any light at the end of the tunnel for. So I think that kind of explains what we're looking at in terms of the line here, 3.5. I like the Bears. Homer pick, I don't like that. I think in every podcast we've picked the Bears. I don't think any of us have picked against the Bears yet. Like every game we've picked, we've all picked the Bears to cover.
Wasn't there one? No, you picked the Lions on the spread in the first game because you didn't want to jinx it.
Oh yeah. You're right. Right. Well, thank you to me then. But yeah, no, I'm going to take the Bears plus 3.5. I think that, in terms of keys, Tom, I think you bring up a good point in that, like, we need to stop the run and run the ball, but that feels too like simple in terms of like an explanation to me, because we know that that's what we do well. Like that, if there's one thing we can point to with this team and say, okay, we're going to stop the run. Did we do the best job of that the last time we played the Lions? No, but overall this year, that has been a very big positive for this team. What I'd like to see them do is step up their game in a few other areas. The pass rush has to continue to get pressure on in every game that we're in from this point on. Like, we need to see improvement there. And I do think that obviously Sweat's coming on. I don't think there's very many people left, very many Chicago Bears fans left that are, have any doubts that wasn't a good move. There's probably a few people that are still on the fence in terms of like long term, was that the play? That's yet to be seen. But I do think what he's done the last few weeks has warranted a little bit of praise from fan base. And I think that I'll sound like a broken record here, but I think we need to let Justin Fields throw the ball down the field. Like I keep saying it. This is a very important stretch for us to see what he's got. Like, the more I see about the draft, the more I'm like divided on, should we look at a quarterback? Like, I need to know going into the offseason, he's trash, can't trust him. And yes, we need to draft a quarterback, or no, he's done enough to prove to me personally, because that's what's most important, is my opinion. And I got to know, like, can this guy play quarterback? Yeah. And like, if we continue to throw screen passes to DJ Moore and let him run the ball on 3rd and 14 and he gets every other one, but he fumbles the other one, and it's like, that's not going to be good enough for me. So like, let's open it up.
You know what I have noticed?
Turn it up.
Just going over, since starting this podcast, and
these go to 11.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the Bears so much. We do have like a lack of depth in the wide receiver department. I think DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are like leading receiving receptions. Like, we don't have a clear, like, Darnell Mooney has maybe like 350 yards on the year. DJ Moore is over 1,000. Cole Kmet, has a lot of receptions, but not a lot of yardage. And then it's like a clear drop off. We don't have a really number 2 or number 3 receiver. And I think that these draft picks, we could really, just be better on that front to help Justin Fields. I know we've talked about this, this coming into this year. Like, we just need to get Justin Fields has all the weapons now. I don't know if we have everything, and maybe that is why we're not going downfield as much, is because these receivers.
The good news there's some pretty good receivers in this draft coming up.
Yeah.
One of which could bump DJ Moore down to being a pretty damn good, solid number 2. Because if you draft Marvin Harrison Jr., despite how good DJ Moore's been, I don't think that, given what he's done in college, that he doesn't go to the top of the totem pole when it comes to depth chart for the Bears. Like, that's the kind of talent this guy is.
It reminds me of like a CeeDee Lamb or like a
No, that's a good comp.
Yeah.
Like bigger body,
Yeah.
guy who is capable of getting a lot of yards after the catch. He has all of the tangible stuff you want in terms of size and speed.
Yeah.
And then like obviously pedigree. Like there is something to be said about guys whose parents played in the league, not to mention whose parents are Hall of Famers. So and
How they
played the
conduct
same
themselves
exact position as you.
in the media.
So
Well, that's
yeah.
locker room. I mean, I think he's a really clear if he enters the draft. We talked about that a little off podcast too. Hopefully,
That NIL money, it's I thought that was interesting, Tom. Like you said, we talked about it a little bit before we got on. Saw a few things today about him potentially receiving an offer in terms of an NIL deal that would compete with what he'd receive on a rookie contract, even being a top 5 pick, which is insane to think. Like 2-3 years ago, guys weren't getting paid in college, and now they're receiving offers that can compete with what is probably the most powerful organization. Like the NFL is like incredible. So the fact that the NCAA, the money that a kid can make in the NCAA through an NIL deal, that it could compete with the NFL is pretty shocking. I personally, I don't think he's going to go that route, despite what he said about wanting to beat Michigan and all that stuff.
a little bit of show.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong.
And I think that just to give you an idea of this dollar amount on this NIL deal is somewhere in the ballpark of $20 to $25 million.
Yeah.
And that's insane, but that is incentive for him to come back to Ohio State and play another year. And you know what? That gives him a lot more power than he might have had 5 years ago when there wasn't this NIL stuff going on.
Yeah.
And maybe Marvin Harrison looks at this draft and he says, I don't want to play in any of these places, man. I am going to go back to school another year. And another thing is we have talked a lot about, or speculated a lot about, who the Bears are going to draft. And, I think we're getting a little in over our heads about.
Isn't that our job,
Yes, but
know anything.
But Ryan Pace or Ryan Poles.
Oh God, don't say Pace.
Who knows what's going on in his mind? Of course, you see Marvin Harrison and the type of talent he has, and you got to think that they are evaluating him and looking at possibly bringing him in the building. But there are other places on this roster that need to be built up as well. So. Wide receiver is a really flashy position, and it's a position that catches a lot of eyeballs. And you want guys like that on your team, but you also want scary dudes in the trenches, and you want lockdown defenders on the outside to guard guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. And so, we'll see what happens with the draft. But another thing to what Tom had mentioned about the depth of our wide receiver core, I think some of that you got to put on Luke Getsy as well and his play calling and not really allowing Fields to, make plays with the wide receivers he does have outside of DJ Moore. So that's another thing to consider as well. I don't think Darnell Mooney's a bad player. I think he could probably fit in as a solid wide receiver 2 in most organizations, and a really good wide receiver 3. So,
Yeah, I think I'm being a little bit tough on him just because he's not living up to the hype that I wanted him to, I think, this year. And I'm just kind of disappointed that he's not producing like I thought he would. But you're probably
we all knew he was going to take a reduced role bringing in DJ Moore, so.
Yeah.
And then with Fields getting hurt.
Colt Kmet's having a great year. So that's he's taking targets away from Mooney as well.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, like we keep saying, to see what direction we head in the next few weeks. And with that being said,
before we move on to the next game,
I
want to touch on one more thing. So I had mentioned at the end of my pick, the Bears could win out. They could end the season with a winning record. If we look at this Bears remaining schedule, say they do get a win this weekend against Detroit at home, they're 5-8. Then they go to Cleveland. Okay.
So
That's a winnable game. Their defense is really good, but their offense is floundering, right? And our defense is playing better. So you got to think that's going to be a game that's close at the end. Then we host Arizona Cardinals. Okay,
winnable.
Again, another winnable game, and then we host the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons.
All right, so those are three winnable games. If we can get out of this weekend with a win against Detroit at home, we go to Cleveland, we can get a win there. These aren't games where you look at them and you're just like, there's no way. They don't stand a chance, especially with how we've seen the Bears have been able to play when they've been playing well over these last few weeks. If they can put a whole game together, these are games that they can win. And then the last week of the year, we're going to go to Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
And
we could be 8-8 going into that game with the chance to beat the Packers and go to the playoffs. Who knows?
It's like the Lions last.
I just want to put a disclaimer on this. Obviously, we're delusional. So if you're watching this, it's just we are.
I honestly, but I do not think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Bears win the rest of the games this year. Okay, maybe I am delusional.
We have to win
the Super Bowl. And you all who are watching, you come back and you watch this. I want you to like and subscribe. Okay.
Anyway. Well, okay. With that being said, let's try and use the rational part of our brain for the rest of these picks.
We're out. So let's start one week at a time.
Yeah, one week at a time. Preach that, Tom. 1 week at a time.
But I'm
just saying, I like this. I like the way the schedule looks.
The ceiling is the roof. LA Rams at Baltimore, -7.5. Baltimore's favored.
The Rams
at Baltimore. Baltimore's favored -7.5. So who wants to kick it off?
Well, I do want to talk, a little weather this week.
Ooh, yeah.
As I do. A big system coming through. If this were a little later in the winter season, this would be, a big snowstorm. High winds, and just nasty weather, a lot of moisture. So, a lot of these Eastern played games are going to have a lot of wind is the big thing, and a lot of them will be wet as well. We just don't have the cold air to get that snow. But so this LA Rams, we're going to start at 64 degrees. And, a lot of these
64, that's balmy.
Well, listen. So a lot of these games, we're 3 or 4 days out. 3 days out. Weather forecast, 3 days out, not great. So
let's take real quick. Tom, you give me a 5-degree window. So if you're saying 64, you're not so sure about that. What's your prediction for a 5-degree window? You think we're going obviously probably down?
Correct.
A bit.
So it's going to be warm. And as this high pressure system comes through, it's going to drop. Or the cold front comes through. We're going to get dropping temperatures. And a cold rain, it's 100% chance of rain, 10 to 20 mile an hour. I'm guessing more higher wind gusts. So this is Baltimore. And it just depends on, like I said, we're 3 days out. Where does this low pressure system track? Does it track more, to the east or to the west? That depends on how high the winds are and where you're going to get the rain. And, you're going to get wind no matter what, I think, in the East Coast games. But the rain, where it's going to set up, is dependent on this high pressure system. So, there I am. So I think this one, LA Rams, Baltimore. In terms of my pick here, I gotta go Baltimore. I think they're the tougher team here, and
Tom likes the high pressure system to win the game. Well, I'm going to go against you, Tom. I think the Rams been playing well.
Yeah.
I think that It was honestly last week was the first time I've seen Puka Nacua play. That guy is fast as shit.
He is.
Just running away from people the entire game. Like I was like, okay, well, this is why Cooper Kupp was a horrible pick for me in fantasy. Not to mention the fact that he had a setback 2 days after my draft. Patriots just went up 21-3.
Well, that over is looking or under.
Wow.
I'm not picking them solely for the Nacua reason. I think that the Rams, I think they might see a little bit of, like daylight. They are the type of team that's like, hey, we got a shot here.
Kind of like the Packers.
They've got some guys on offense. Matthew Stafford, obviously a veteran. He's got some serious weapons. Cooper Kupp, Nacua. Kyron Williams is like, he's played incredible since coming back from IR. So 7.5 seems big to me. I think the Rams are playing tough right now. I'm going to take the Rams plus 7.5 in this one.
It's 7.5. I was so worked up about my weather report that I didn't even.
You want to change your pick, Tom?
7.5. No, I got to ride with it, But 7.
You don't have to ride with it, but we will allow you to continue to ride with it.
I don't want any backlash here from our fans. So I'm gonna go Baltimore.
Tom, the backlash is coming. They're gonna rip us apart at some point or another. So once they start watching, we're screwed.
Yep.
It's all fun and games until people start paying attention.
Yeah.
Jesse, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one's tough because, like you said, Luke, the Rams have been playing really well these last few weeks, especially. They're getting a little bit more healthy. Stafford's come back from injury.
Stafford can stay healthy.
What's that?
If Stafford can stay healthy, that's a big part of the Rams. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Sorry, I was just reading your comment over here. I just saw that for some reason. Okay, so yeah, they're getting healthy, but this Ravens team is really, really tough, and they're playing at home. They don't get to see Lamar Jackson a lot, and I know I've said this before. When Lamar Jackson plays teams outside of his division, they know he's a good player. They know he's dynamic. They don't know how dynamic he is, and I think because of that, the Ravens win by 8 or more points at home. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens on the spread.
Okay. All right. Me against the world.
That's how I felt last week, and I won with the picks.
Yeah, I forgot to tally up the points, but Tom, I think you won by a game or two.
Chinny hair.
I think we all went plus 50% though on picks.
Yeah.
So for those of you that want to criticize our picks, let me see you do better.
Yeah, it's like, hey.
So next we've got Carolina and New Orleans, and Carolina at New Orleans. In this case, New Orleans is favored -5, and I'll start this one off because I'm hoping, and I'm just going on a whim here. I don't actually know.
Jameis, are you going to say something about Jameis?
If Jameis plays this week, which he came in and played for Carr last week, and when he did, like he's hard not to root for. I saw him. I think he was at a Pelicans game the other night. He's just everybody loves him.
His favorite dude.
Somewhat problematic past, and granted, they did lose last week. It's not like Jameis came in and won the game. But this is them possibly losing 4 in a row, and really just losing all hope to have any chance of winning this division. So going against Carolina, it seems I saw something about a report and the front office in Carolina treating the team like a Hunger Games scenario with games. I don't know what's going on there. It seems strange. I feel bad for Bryce Young because I really liked him coming into the league, but I mean, just when you see that as an article headline, it's just like, what? Like they just fired Frank Reich, and they've got some special teams coach, used to be a special teams guy for the Bears, Chris Tabor maybe. But yeah, no, I think this is hopefully Jameis plays. I'm like he could throw 4 touchdowns and 4 picks and be like incredible. Like it'd be the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I'll take New Orleans -5 in this one.
Yeah, so I've been on record, I think last week and the week before that. I don't like what the Panthers are doing. They're making Bryce Young worse.
You didn't like Hunger Games. You're more of a Twilight guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Twilight all the way, Team Jacob.
Dude,
Team Jacob.
Personally, I wanted to be on record that I prefer Hunger Games over Twilight. Okay, you guys are crazy.
Anyways, I don't like what they're doing with Bryce Young. They got a bunch of nobodies at wide receiver and running back. Their rookie Mingo didn't. I had him on fantasy, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this guy, nothing." So, I like what Alvin Kamara is doing. Jameson Winston, he's neither here nor there.
George Pickens update. He has 1 catch for 4 yards.
Ooh.
If he does have a good game this week, my season's over. So it's good.
How's Deontay Johnson doing? Oh, Trubisky's 5 for 10 with 36 yards and an interception. So that's
Sorry, Tom. You were saying you don't like Carolina, right?
Yeah, New Orleans here. Olave he did get taken out of practice with a illness today, which usually is a good sign, but he just had a concussion, so maybe I don't know, just odd.
They don't need him to beat Carolina.
No, I agree.
I just took a quick glance at the New Orleans Saints injury report, and wow, if you want some reading material the next time you go and sit on the toilet, you should look this up. All right, I'm just gonna rattle some stuff off for you. Cam Jordan, questionable, ankle. Kendre Miller, questionable, ankle. Juwan Johnson, questionable, quadricep. Derek Carr, questionable, concussion, rib, and right shoulder.
Yeah,
Taysom Hill, questionable, foot and hand. Okay.
No way Taysom Hill does play.
Questionable, thigh. Chris Olave, sidelined due to an illness, questionable. And that doesn't even start to factor in Marshawn Lattimore on injured reserve, Michael Thomas on injured reserve. These guys, this team is broken, okay? Carolina, second game with a new head coach.
Was Derek Carr on there?
Head coach. Derek Carr, yes. He was the one with the concussion, rib, and right shoulder.
Okay, good. So that means as long as I don't hear Jameis's name in this spiel, then I'm on -5 Saints. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Carolina only lost by 3 to the Buccaneers last week in Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is a better team than New Orleans. I think that Carolina is going to cover the spread here against New Orleans in NOLA. And for goodness sakes, I want to see something good happen to Bryce Young. So, the only game that they have won was against the Houston Texans, 15-13 in the middle of the season. So I forgot that happening. I'm sure all of you did too, because I do not know how that happened, considering what we've seen out of the Houston Texans to this point in the year. But I'm going to go with Carolina on this one. Let's see something good for them, huh?
Is someone writing these down?
And the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Luke, are you writing these down?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Next game is Indy at Cincy. Cincy's favored -1. Vegas took a look at Jake Browning last week and said, "Me likey. Give me some more of that."
Yeah, I tell you what.
One problem.
Tell me.
Quarterback on the other team is Gardner Minshew. Deontay Johnson touchdown.
Oh,
that's unfortunate for me. So Indy is scrappy. They're like the third wheel in this division. The fourth wheel is Tennessee. It fell off the car a few miles back. It's gone. So they are the third wheel behind the Texans and Jacksonville. But, what's going to happen with Jacksonville the next few weeks? Trevor Lawrence probably isn't going to play. And they're a game or two behind Houston. They're right there. So I think this team continues to kind of defy all odds. Gardner Minshew with the spirit of Mike Leach behind him. Good buddies. All
right,
team of destiny. Give me Indy +1.
I love that. I love that. You know what? Indianapolis this year, 2-4 at home. Wait, let me make sure I saw this right, because that doesn't seem correct. Hold on.
Cincy's favored, right?
At home this year,
-1.
At home this year, Indianapolis 2-4, away 5-1. They're in Cincinnati this week. They're energized playing on the road. Luke made some good points about Gardner Minshew here. Obviously, this Jake Browning kid can play, and he's got weapons around him.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
This Indianapolis team has found ways to stay in games and win games despite all odds being against them. It's almost like that meme of the Spider-Man guy pointing at the other Spider-Man guy. Okay, so like these teams are very similar, I think, in the adversity that they've faced this year. They both lost their starting quarterbacks. They're both still good teams all the way around. Not great teams, but they're competitive teams. And so, I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think the Colts win and cover the spread here. But shout out to Jake Browning. He played a hell of a game on Monday night against the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew's just got a little bit more.
Yeah. So one thing you didn't take into effect is the weather here. Cold front will be in full effect in Cincinnati, and that's why I was in Baltimore.
You were waiting till the end.
Yeah, but it'll be in full effect. Low 40s, cold, maybe some light rain in the beginning of the game. I don't see it affecting this other than being cold, but this is a 50-50 shot here. These two teams, I feel like, and I kind of want to go with the home team in that aspect. My gut is telling me Indy, and I don't know if that's just because you guys picked, Indy. Is Jonathan Taylor back?
No.
I got to go Cincy here.
He's got to.
You hate Zach Moss, huh? What's wrong with you?
He's got to.
No, I did trade him away, but
okay.
That was a great trade. Who'd you get for him, Tom? Do you remember?
James Cook.
Oh, he's
James Cook.
Yeah.
James Dalvin Cook,
Robinson,
brother of Dalvin James Cook, who fell off the map this year. Go Jets. Next game, Tampa Bay at Atlanta, division game. Thoughts, feelings?
I think I'll go first here. I think it means a little more to the Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, and they're at home. I
hope Baker doesn't see this.
He's going to be outside my house.
That is a guy you don't want to have problems with.
Yeah. So sorry, Baker. Don't hurt me. But
get your weight up.
Get your weight up, Tom.
I'm going to go Falcons. Just a gut. No rhyme or reason here.
Hey, shout out to Baker here. Him and his wife are expecting their first child. Me and my wife are also expecting our first child. So you know what, Baker? Maybe our kids can hang out. They can be friends or whatever. That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
So Atlanta's sitting at the top of this division, 6-6. Tampa Bay 5-7.
It's a big game for both.
Atlanta is a scrappy team. It doesn't feel like they should be 6-6, but somehow they're winning games. I don't think they do this week though. Atlanta's favored.
Atlanta's favored -1.5. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Give me Baker. Our kids are going to be friends, Baker. Let's go.
Well, logistically, I don't understand how that can happen. You need to move across the country.
No, Zoom
or
and
Baker
stuff nowadays, right?
joins.
Play date over
Sure.
Zoom.
I am a little bit torn here. I need Mike Evans to have a good game. I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
Yeah. We're all on Tampa, right, Tom?
Well, I'm on Atlanta. I went against them the last couple times, and
Tom, I
Tom's
feel
on.
like you're not going to do very well this week.
This is a zig week, and Tom's zagging. But that's that could go either way. Last week we kind of did the same thing. Tom came out on top. So.
Last week I am the champ. So just
that's true.
Yeah.
I know you're right.
Last
Tom.
week
It just doesn't feel right. It feels dirty what you're doing this week for some reason.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. So move on.
That's all that matters. Next game, Jacksonville at Cleveland. Cleveland is favored -3 at home here. It's going to be CJ Beathard unless some sort of miracle happens with Trevor Lawrence, but I'm pretty sure he's already been ruled out. So CJ Beathard for Jacksonville going up against Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns.
Holy shit.
Browns Bears coming up in about a week and a half. The world will probably be introduced to Nick Brenner. He might make a pit stop on the podcast. We might let him drink a couple Miller Lights and
get him off.
Few profanities at the people. He hates our takes thus far, from what I'm told. He thinks we're just as dumb as can be. And obviously, anyone who knows Nick he's a scholar and a gentleman. So
you'll all see for yourselves.
Yeah. So I personally, Christian Kirk going down and Trevor Lawrence going down, that's a big blow to that offense. And you're going against a good defense in Cleveland without the guy who operates everything on the offensive side of the ball for Jacksonville and what has been pretty much his favorite target of the year. Granted, you still got Calvin Ridley, got Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. Those guys are good players. But I think that Cleveland is still like they have a little bit of juice left, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And this is an opportunity for them to. They're 7-5 right now. They're by no means out of it. If they've lost 2 in a row, 1 to Denver, who's been playing well, and 1 to the Rams. Those teams are teams that we've talked about being trending upwards. So I don't think that it was just like, oh, how could they lose to those teams? No, I think they lost to 2 pretty good teams in the last 2 weeks. And I think Jacksonville, without, those guys that we had mentioned, I think I like Cleveland -3 at home here.
-3?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Trevor Lawrence is
yeah, baby.
Yeah, I gotta think sometimes. Trevor Lawrence is kind of, I feel like, the heart of that team. I mean, quarterbacks usually are, but he just seems like he had such a command on that team. And, Kirk going down as well. They're going to definitely lean on ETN here, which I love for fantasy purposes. But another cold, rainy one, close to Cincy. Winds will be blowing. I don't like a, second string quarterback in there in those conditions against this defense. And
you said conditions report?
Which side? Because they both have second string quarterbacks in.
Your Tom. Yeah, but Joe Flacco's won Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah. 1 second. Joe Flacco. People are, hating on Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco was on the couch a month ago. Okay.
He's a veteran, and I'm not buying into the Joe Flacco hype, but I am. So Cleveland.
Jacksonville's undefeated on the road this year, 5-0.
With Trevor.
Granted, most of their tough games have come at home, or tough opponents, tougher. Okay, but they haven't lost a game on the road yet. Secondly, CJ Beathard, University of Iowa. Same time I was there. Okay.
I don't not like him, but in these
boy,
positions, I don't like him.
He's tough.
Crazy to think that the guys that were there when you were there are old guys now.
I know,
because I'm older than you are.
Yeah,
and that's scary.
Yeah, so
yeah.
He's a tough guy though. He's a tough player, and honestly, when he came in, he didn't do bad. He didn't do bad,
bro.
I'm gonna go with Jacksonville on this spread. Okay.
Can we just talk about how bad the league is right now with injuries at the quarterback position? I mean, holy moly, there's probably 10 quarterbacks, second strings in there or third.
Yeah, it's high. Let's see how many we can name right now. Okay.
Can I just go teams or actual names?
Can we just? How about we'll each name one, and we'll continue to go.
We'll see who can.
Aaron Rodgers.
Wait, are we saying the backup?
We're naming the backups.
Oh,
that are starting currently.
Jake Browning.
Oh, okay.
You lost, Jesse.
No, we need him because I'm not going to go far on this.
Zach Wilson.
Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I kind of like him. Zappy. I don't know his first name.
I just Bailey's, yeah. CJ Beathard.
Trubisky.
Dobbs. Or he's starter.
I mean, this is pretty. I'm pretty surprised that we've been able to do this. To go this far.
Yeah.
No, there's more.
Oh yeah.
Joe Flacco. We didn't name him yet, did we?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I lose. We're on to the next pick.
No.
We've got Seattle at San Francisco. Division game here. The 49ers are favored -11.
God, I hate that, dude. I want.
They are just like I can't remember what I was listening to, but they were like talking about somebody was talking about a clip of the Thanksgiving post game with the 49ers and how they were just amazed at, because the post game interview is usually a bunch of guys sitting around eating turkey legs, and they're like, there are so many guys on that team that throughout the 3-minute interview, 20 dudes walked up and it was just like, that guy is awesome. And they just kept coming. And it was like everyone on that team, when you go down the roster, is just like, that dude's sick. And they've played some really.
What was that, Tom?
Flamingo. Wedding gift, dude. Look at this thing.
Wow.
These are my water cups. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, they just beat Seattle 31-13 2 weeks ago.
It was a wedding, right?
In Seattle.
In Seattle. This time it's in San Francisco. What's that? That's 18 points in that last one. So I'll take a -11 here. They're a juggernaut.
Yeah, I'm gonna take San Francisco as well. They're just too good. They're healthy. When they're healthy, they're the best team in the league.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much discussion about it.
I think Seattle has a couple running back. I mean, they already had one of the running backs down, and then I think I read something. Both running backs this week are questionable or something. And if they can't run the ball at all, and Geno Smith is throwing against this 49ers defense, it's going to be a massacre.
Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Geno Smith, D. Eskridge, and Jamal Adams are all questionable.
Yeah. 49ers. I mean,
Geno's questionable?
Who's their backup?
Groin injury.
Good Lord.
At least it's not a hammy.
-11. Tom, you like the Niners?
I do.
We're all on the Niners. Minnesota at Las Vegas.
And
Minnesota's favored -3 on the road.
I'll start this one. I am going to go with. I am quickly looking at the Las Vegas Raiders injury report. So it looks like Crosby didn't practice yesterday.
That guy's gonna play. He's a
He's
dog.
gonna play.
I'm gonna go with the Raiders being at what was the Vikings are favored -3 on the road.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that spread. Although they are getting Justin Jefferson back this week, I believe.
Yep.
But it would be a lot different if Kirk Cousins was at the helm. I think there's still some question marks around Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs isn't Kirk Cousins, and we don't know if Justin Jefferson and Dobbs have this chemistry, or are gonna meld together well. So because of that, I still like this Raiders team. They played Miami tough a couple weeks ago in Miami, and last week I think they were on bye, but the week before that they played the Chiefs pretty well for a half, and then kind of let it go. But the Vikings aren't the Dolphins or the Chiefs. I think they keep this game close to the end at home. I'm gonna take the Raiders on the spread here.
I want to go against you here, just because Justin Jefferson is coming back, and I don't trust their defense, the Raiders defense, as good. But why is my mind saying Raiders here? Minnesota gonna win.
Are they gonna cover?
They're gonna win by 6.
Oh, okay.
Tom's on the Vikings. Jesse's on the Raiders. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to see a lot of pressure from Brian Flores. They got after Justin Fields.
They really did.
And we're talking about Justin Fields versus Aiden O'Connell, who might as well have played at Iowa, like Jesse, CJ Beathard. They're
He's got
similar.
The stats,
Played at Purdue.
He could have.
Rookie
not
quarterback,
the same, dude.
Rookie quarterback
not even close.
Dealing with that kind of pressure. Don't love it. So, give me Minnesota. I'm with Tom on this one. -3, getting Jefferson back. Dobbs is Dobbs.
You gotta have a good game, but
the Dobbs effect is wearing off.
Interesting next matchup here. We've got Buffalo at Kansas City. Kansas City is favored -1.5. I did see, speaking of like headlines I'd seen this week, like we were just talking about headlines 25 minutes ago. I make it sound like we just got off the topic, but I did see that Jason Kelce called out a guy on the Bills, Jordan Phillips, for potentially trying to injure one of the offensive linemen for Philly. And I said while we were watching that game, I said, I love what Buffalo's doing on these tush pushes. They're jumping off sides intentionally and just and pummeling Philly's O-line before they can inevitably get the 1 yard. I said, forget it. Like, they're getting the yard. Push them over. Get in their heads. Get physical with them. I think that is honestly a decent strategy. And the guy, Jordan Phillips, brought up a good point with Kelce. He says he has no room to talk in terms of who's a dirty player or not, because if you watch those plays, all Jason Kelce does is dive at the knees of who's lined up directly over him. And that's one of the most dangerous things you can do, especially to a guy that's 300 plus pounds and doesn't have the ability to get out of the way and move his legs.
That's a good point.
I like Jason Kelce. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, you're about Flag.
That's the reality of what that play is. I mean,
Right.
they're diving at guys' legs, just asking to blow someone's knee out. Granted, that hasn't happened to my knowledge, but that's what that play is designed to do. That's how they get that yard. They get below everyone, and you get below everyone by trying to just break their legs.
Yeah.
So I loved that last week, and
That's interesting. Yeah.
I like Buffalo. I think they've been playing better, but at Kansas City, this is tough. Like Buffalo's in a tough spot here. They're in a really tough stretch of games, and I think Kansas City is. I think they're kind of feeling the pressure from the outside. This has not been like years past where it's like inevitable number 1 seed in the playoffs going to be Kansas City. Everything goes through Arrowhead. It's not like that this year. You don't get that same feeling. It's still a possibility, but it seems like in the last few years that was almost a given at this point in the season that it was like this is going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Right now they're sitting behind Miami and Baltimore. So it's going to take a little bit of work to get back up there and ensure that they've got that first round bye and that they don't have to leave Arrowhead, which I think is very important to these teams that are experienced and that have been there before. They understand what kind of advantage that is to have in the playoffs. Kansas City just lost to Green Bay last week, obviously at Lambeau. And Philly obviously coming off a loss to Buffalo coming off a loss to Philly.
They actually just came off bye though.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So 2 weeks to prepare for this. That is interesting, but I still like Kansas City here, -1.5. I think that they kind of understand the gravity of this game. If they want to keep that number 1 seed, an option for them, they need to win this game. And I'll take Kansas City -1.5.
Yeah, this is a big game for the Bills as well. I think if they lose this, they're out, I believe. Or no?
But no. Their odds greatly go down.
Yeah, so this is a big game. It's hard to go against Andy Reid at home, Patrick Mahomes, all that. Looking past that, though, Buffalo winning the OT with Philadelphia and, at Philadelphia. So I can see, this being either way, but I'm going to go with the Bills.
I, too, am going to go with the Bills. I think they have more to lose here. I think they're in Kansas City this week. Next week, they play the Cowboys in Buffalo. And if they lose this week, they'll be 6-7. And on the outs, they're on the outside looking in right now in the wild card picture in the AFC. 6-7 is, and with the Cowboys coming to town, then they're starting to look at possibly missing the playoffs. And for the talent that is on this Buffalo team, I just can't see them missing the playoffs. I think if the Chiefs lose, they're still going to make the playoffs. They'll be 8-5 or 8-6 at that point.
They have an easier schedule as well, I think.
Yeah, so I really think this is a must-win for the Bills. I think they show up in Kansas City. They play well, coming off a bye, even if they do have some bye week drama with what's going on with Von Miller. I think they get the job done. I think Josh Allen puts the team on his back. I don't like the Kansas City's offense. I've said it a couple times on the cast. I think it's just not as high powered as it has been in the years past, and that's really been their Achilles heel this year. So I think the Bills defense gets after him a little bit, and I think the Bills go into Kansas City and win this game, and then obviously cover the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to switch?
No. Kansas City, I think I was just, while you were talking about Buffalo's remaining schedule and how difficult it is, when one thing I remember hearing coming into this year is like, watch out for Buffalo to take a step back this year. Like a lot of people like them before the year to regress. And I think they have, like it's evident given their record at 6-6 that they have regressed a bit. And like I said, I think that Kansas City, having been in such a great position going into the playoffs the last few years, understands the importance of that home field advantage, of that first round bye. And if you look at their remaining schedule, if they can beat Buffalo, then they've got the Patriots, the Raiders, the Bengals, and then the Chargers. So they've got a good chance to win out and put a lot of pressure on the teams that are currently in front of them, which is only the Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins have yet to beat a team with a winning record this year. So who knows what can happen there down the stretch for them. And Baltimore's tough. But I did take the Rams this week to cover against them. So we'll see what happens.
One final note on that. I think a key to that matchup could be, it looks like Nick Bolton's going to be coming back for linebacker for the Chiefs. He's a huge part of their defense.
Yeah.
So be on the watch out for him.
Next, we've got Denver at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are favored -2.5. I like Denver here, +2.5. I think they might beat them. I don't care that it's a home game for the Chargers. Talked about it before. Home games for the Chargers aren't really home games. They don't have much of a crowd in their favor when they do play at home. So I think what happened for Denver last week? Why am I blanking on that? They lost to the Texans.
Good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. And that, we kind of touched on it during our picks last week. That's their only loss in the last 5 games was to that Texans team on the road. And they had a chance to win it. Russell Wilson had, I think, he had at least 2 picks. He might have had 3 in that game. So I think they clean it up against the Chargers, get back on, get back to winning here. And Chargers, I mean, they've just been a sorry-ass team. They lost 3 in a row, and then they beat New England 6-0. All they can manage is 2 field goals in that game. I saw that this week Staley's talking about how he's going to change up the workload for the backfield. Austin Eckler has apparently not been performing well enough for them, so they're going to let other guys get a chance. That just seems weird. That's like why
he's such a bad.
It just seems strange. It seems like they're in a weird spot. Maybe my prediction of Staley getting fired will happen this week. They'll drop to 5-8 after this. So if they do lose, so I'm going with the Broncos +2.5.
Yeah. I think the Broncos aren't fazed by what happened last week. They played pretty well, minus the turnovers. But I have Herbert on my fantasy team, and he just the team is up and down, dude. And you can't trust him. So, and I can trust Denver because they are actually a good team with a good coach. So,
did you say Denver's +2.5?
Yeah.
Oh, are they? Yeah.
I mean, I think LA Chargers are up there for one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year, with the roster that they have, with the guy that they have at quarterback. And so I'm going to go with Denver, and I got to continue this thread of consciousness about getting Justin Herbert into a Chicago Bears uniform next year. And somehow the Bears making a deal for one of these first-round picks that they have with the Chargers organization, which is going to be in complete upheaval in this offseason in the front office, whether it's head coach and GM or just head coach. They're going to be rebuilding. They're going to have to get rid of some of these pieces on defense that they brought in that are super expensive, that they have not been able to mesh and make work together. So it's really sad to see that they're not going to make the playoffs again this year, but that's what's going to happen. And I don't. Yeah, they're not going to win this game. They're not going to cover the spread against the Broncos, and hopefully somehow in some crazy future scenario, this leads to Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh meeting in Chicago, which I'll touch on really briefly. There was a odd headline about Jim Harbaugh talking about how much he likes Justin Herbert this week. And so, we've talked a little bit about Jim Harbaugh landing in Chicago. He loves Justin Herbert. I don't know. It's a match made in heaven.
I also saw, though, is polls. It was the opposite of that. Like, Poles and Jim Harbaugh, or who not Poles. Who's the other guy?
Kevin Warren.
The NCAA guy. I saw that also in the headlines that they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Well, but I bet Kevin Warren likes to win football games.
I agree. So let's put that aside, you two, and let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody's on the Broncos here. Next game, Sunday Night Football. This should be a good one. Philly at Dallas. Dallas is favored at home, -3.5 against Philly here. Obviously, we had just talked about.
I'll go first. You've been going first a lot, Luke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
Dallas has been playing really, really, really well, right? The Eagles got kind of undressed last week against the 49ers at home. And I don't think that that's going to go over very well. With Nick Sirianni, I think he's gonna prepare these guys to not let that happen again, even if it is on the road and they were underdogs last week at home, but they're underdogs this week on the road with about the same spread, I think. So I think Philadelphia is a better team. I think they're coached better. And I don't think Dallas shows up in these big games when it means something. So because of that, maybe this comes down to a coaching error at the end of the game, clock management, something like that. But I think that the Eagles cover the spread and probably win the game in Dallas.
I'd love to take Philly here because it's the Cowboys. They, them boys, it's like, God, just shut up. And, they're just very easy not to like, right? They're an easy target to make fun of. With that being said, this has been like a brutal stretch for Philly. Dallas, they win that game at home, 23-28, tough game. Go to Arrowhead, win 21-17. Overtime against Buffalo, 37-34. And then they come to the end of the gauntlet, and that's San Francisco waiting for them. And like you had said, Jesse, they undressed is a good way of putting it. They, got out of the pool and it was cold. You know what I mean? Shrinkage going on last week. And, that's not always a true representation of what's really happening downstairs. You don't want to get caught coming out of the pool when it's cold.
Right.
But that's San Francisco waiting for you at the end of that road.
I like that.
Yeah. So I like I said, I'd love to take Philly here, but I just feel like they need a little bit more of a breather than going into Dallas. Dallas is a very high caliber offense, especially at home. I'm probably going to end up regretting this, but I think Dallas evens the score on this season series with them, having lost earlier in Philly this year. I think Dallas is a good enough team to get a win at home here, cover -3.5. And then, once playoffs roll around and, if they find themselves squaring off again, I would definitely take Philly, but I'm going to take Dallas here -3.5.
I wasn't even, listening to you the last 5 seconds because I was about to get up and start doing the DAC.
Yeah.
Philly, you could tell last week against the 49ers that the second half, they couldn't hang because of, the long game, overtime game with Buffalo, 49ers coming off a bye, just fresh, just those 49ers team just beat them down in that second half. The first half, you saw Philly's defense coming out hot first couple possessions, but then they just, fresh legs of the 49ers, but it's about Dallas and the Eagles. Dallas plays really well at home, and that makes me want to pick Dallas, but then it's just I think the Eagles are the better team. And I think they get – well, did you guys see that thing about run the ball?
From you?
Huh?
I've never heard anyone say run the ball more than you, so I said from you.
No, the Philadelphia a couple fans were outside of the facility, and it said run the ball, and some reporters asked, what's his name, Sirianni?
Yeah.
He was like, what did you think about that? And he's like, there's some truth to it. I gave him some coffee, but he's like, yeah, we need to get back to running the ball. And I agree because I'm let's run the ball, baby. But
Tom's team run the ball.
I think the last 4 games they haven't been running the ball as much as they had previously, and it's showing a little bit. They've had a tough stretch, but I'm going the Eagles. So
okay.
They're going to run the ball on them boys, and they're going to run away with the win.
Those 2 fans, they're going to run the ball.
Or I guess they're going to cover. They might not win, but.
Monday Night Football, Tennessee at Miami.
Yeah, we got the Monday night doubleheader.
Did I miss a game?
There's one more, Green Bay and New York Giants. They're playing at the same time.
Did we talk Jets?
We can start with Tennessee, Miami.
It's like they're just like, let's take 2 bad games, and that'll equal 1 good game.
Did we do Houston?
That's actually not true.
Yeah, we did. We did. No, we didn't do Houston, New York Jets. We did miss one.
Yeah, because I got to pick.
That's a noon game, and that's probably one of your weather ones, huh? Let's do that one first.
Yeah. So it was one of my weather. That's why I have it here. I was just looking. I expect the highest wins with this one.
The highest wins.
Yeah, like it's gonna be windy as hell. So
there he is.
I tell you what, I don't like the looks of this. I think that defense could really favor this matchup with these wins. Like I said, 50-mile-an-hour wins.
Houston's favored -3.5 here, by the way.
I like Houston. I like Houston there.
Yeah.
But just watch these games, guys, and you'll see that win that I'm talking about, okay?
I'm going to take Houston as well. Reports were this week that Saleh is going back to Zach Wilson, and that Zach Wilson's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I don't know, like he's starting, so but the fact that there was even anyone talking about the fact that you're just like, hey man, do you want to play quarterback in the NFL? And you're just like, I don't know, like not for this team. This team is sad. And the thing is like
That is crazy.
the only thing that's holding them back is the quarterback. Like their defense is awesome. They got guys at every level. The Williams brothers, Quincy Quinnen, CJ Mosley, Sauce Gardner. They just got tons of guys on the defensive line that they rotate in and out. If they just had a quarterback this year, it feels like it would be so different for them. But that's just not going to happen. It's not in the cards for them. And it's going to be painful to watch every single time they play because of it. I'm going to take the Jets to cover +3.5.
I knew that was coming. Tom, give me a little more color around this weather. You said it was going to be really windy.
Yeah.
Are we going to see rain? Are we going to see? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be really cold?
Tom said it was going to be cold earlier, and then said it was going to be 64.
Yeah. So it's on the East Coast.
The cold front is moving through.
What day or what time is this game?
This is at noon.
So I don't know if that cold front's going to be there at that time. Which,
I don't think these guys care as much about temperature. I think what you're talking about in terms of wind is problematic for a team that loves to throw the ball around.
Yeah, and
which is Houston.
There could be some precipitation. Let me look at the
most moisture.
So steady rain in the afternoon, ½ inch. Only 10 to 20 mile an hour winds here now.
Sunday and East Rutherford.
You told me it was going to be 50.
So it looks like kickoff. It's going to be about 53 degrees, and it's actually going to get warmer.
Oh my God! It gets warmer throughout the game.
61. Yeah.
And it looks like 20 to 25 mile per hour winds. The air quality is moderate, so if you care about that.
Air quality.
Oh, get out of here with the air quality, dude.
All right. So the weather is going to be fairly reasonable.
15 to 25 mile an hour wind.
I think because of that.
Just listen. That is sustained winds. 15 to 25 sustained winds. You're looking at 30 gusts.
Hold on.
50 mile an hour. That was just not like Nantucket shit, like on the water. Okay, but I'm saying the winds are going to be a factor. Depending on when this thing comes through, if this is an afternoon game, forget about it, okay?
Forget about it.
All right. Well, you know what? I don't know. You got to love CJ Stroud. But
definitely love him. Definitely.
I'm going to go. Oh, man.
I think the Jets make it dirty and windy.
I'm going to go with the Texans here. I think Zach Wilson comes back and he didn't really want to play. And so his play this weekend is kind of going to be meh. Yeah. And he's not, his heart's not going to be in it. And because of that, the Texans cover.
Tom?
Yeah. Did I not pick? I picked, right? Texans?
Did you? You took the Texans?
I think I did. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
All right. Tennessee at Miami. Miami's favored -13 in that one.
-13. Jesus. I went against Miami with a huge spread last week, and they just annihilated whoever they played. So I got to go Miami here. Just at home as well. So Tyreek's going to be doing some backflips.
Yeah, I'm going to take
on Dolphins and shit.
Yeah.
Like Dirk used to say at TGI Fridays, meth head. Never forget Dirk. He used to walk into work saying doing backflips on dolphins and shit. High as hell. Ride with Dirk and the Dolphins.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins as well. No, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Titans. The spread's just too big. I think they have some success running the ball on the Dolphins, and maybe that leads to some some control over possession and time of possession in the game, and keeps the ball out of Tua's hands a little bit. And if they can do that and they can eat up some clock, they can shorten this game and not let it get out of hand. I think the Titans keep it closer than the spread, but they obviously lose the game. So I'm going to take the Titans on the spread here.
That might be a good move.
I'm watching my fantasy season just implode before my eyes. George Pickens is getting talked to by Mike Tomlin on the sideline. I just, I mean, it's like these guys are just like, hey, little buddy, don't get down. Don't do that, bud. I need you here, bud. Come on, bud. Don't get so upset. Don't fight the referee. Don't fight the guys on the other. Just play the game, dog. Get in there. Like you're the best player they've got on offense. Score me some points.
Hey,
you're killing me.
To be fair, the Steelers are on defense right now.
Yeah, they are. He needs to get out there and play some free safety.
What's the score?
Let him take some frustration out.
21-10.
His head for the other side. Okay. Last game is Green Bay at New York Giants. Green Bay's favored -6.5. I'm on Green Bay here. I think they're talk about seeing an opportunity to maybe get back in the hunt, and even like if Detroit continues to slide, we're all saying Detroit's going to lose this week. So Green Bay wins. I think they go to 7 and.
They're a lot like the Rams, like I said.
7-5, 8-5,
7-6.
7-6. So, yeah, I think Green Bay covers here.
What is the
6.5?
This one's in the same stadium that the Jets are going to play in on Sunday afternoon, but this one's going to be Monday at 7:15. Tom,
clear and cold, I bet.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers here as well. I think they've been playing really good football. I think Jordan Love's starting to figure it out, which is not good news for the Bears, honestly, but. I like him in this game. I like him to cover the spread. I don't like the Giants. I actually is Tyrod Taylor maybe have a chance of playing?
I think Tommy DeVito's got this thing on lockdown at this
Taylor
point.
was listed as a full participant on Thursday's injury report. Wait, full participant on Thursdays. I think he's practicing. I think Tyrod Taylor's practicing. I think he may start.
Injury.
Which kind of, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Giants.
Yeah, I don't love Jordan Love, and I think he is getting a little bit too much attention here. But
I'm
going to go the Packers because
I'm
going Packers.
He went back. He tricked me on that one.
Yep.
All right. That is
week 14, guys. That's crazy.
Week 14, yeah. It is crazy.
When did we start this thing up?
What's that?
What week did we start this podcast going?
Week 10, I think.
Wow.
I mean, our first one we didn't even get up on the page.
Yeah, episode 2 is our one.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have Wargo back soon. He might not ever come back from South Africa. Sounds like they're having a great time over there, seeing pictures on the gram.
Yeah.
Poolside, having a great time. So we should hopefully have him back for next week.
Yeah.
Maybe even for Bears post game. I'm not sure what his ETA is to get back. But
yeah, shout out Wargs.
Like I said, a couple weeks here, we're going to be playing the Browns. Might have our first special guest joining us to give us some Browns insight.
Nikki B.
Yep. So
yeah, and also we may may do a short pregame Bears video before the game on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, if you're liking the content, do not forget to subscribe to our page, like and subscribe, please. Chitown Lowdown. We're going to continue giving you our thoughts on NFL headlines, on these picks against the spread. We'll next for the next episode, we'll definitely get our running total to let you guys know how we've done to this point in the year, just to let you know how credible we are. But honestly, I think we're doing pretty well. So I think you'll be surprised. But we appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, thank you and have a great night. Go Bears.
Go Bears.